Johnny went home after Mass, and he told his little brother, bro, I want to carry you on my shoulder. And his little brother was like, really? But why carry me? And Johnny said to his little brother, you know, brother, today Father preached about what it takes to be a true disciple of Jesus. And he said that one must carry one's cross and follow Jesus. And so I have decided to follow Jesus, and that is why I want to carry you. It's supposed to be a joke, guys. It's all right, okay. If you've been following the gospel for the past 2 weeks or few weeks or so, the gospel has been getting tougher and tougher and harder and harder. And very challenging, to say the least. Jesus has been challenging us. He has been inviting us to do the things that we do not normally do. Sunday before last Sunday, Jesus challenged us to walk through the narrow gate. And the narrow gate is a call to discipleship. It's a call to walk the way of the cross. And last week, we heard from him saying, asking us to be humble, to take the lowest place, and not to seek the place of honor. For he challenged us and reminded us, all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And as if this wasn't enough, he went further and challenged us again and told us that we should not invite for dinner or for any party those who invite us back. He literally said, do not invite your relatives, your friends, your family. He said, invite the poor, the crippled, and the lame. Obviously, he meant to say, invite those who would not repay you. In other words, just do it. Do it without expecting anything in return. Give. Simply give because God is giving. Share, simply share because God is sharing. And when you do that, just do it without any expectation in return. And if you thought that was hard or harder, and today, he is taking the gospel to another level. He's making it even harder and nearly impossible. He's simply raising the bar. And when you heard the gospel, I'm sure you were kind of scratching your head and saying, no, this cannot be from Jesus. It sounded crazy. It sounded insane. It sounded cruel and kind of insensitive. And you wonder, how come? How come Jesus said such thing? For he said, if you do not hate your father and mother, wife and children, well, husbands too, okay? Husband and children, and brother and sister, and your very life, you cannot be my disciple. He's talking about hate. Jesus, who called us to love not just our neighbor, called us to love our enemy, talking about hatred. What is he saying here? Well, the word hate, when Jesus uses it, doesn't really mean hate. He's not asking you to be hateful. He's not asking you to dislike the other. What is he saying is love less. Love less these, your brother and sister, mother and father, wife and children, and your very self, and love more. Who? God. Love less the war and love more God. Now, he is making a very bold statement here. He is saying something about who he is. He is revealing his very identity. Now, can you recall any spiritual leader, any religious founder, any prophet, any master saying such thing? Anyone? Can you recall? No one. No spiritual master has ever said, if you do not hate, or if you do not love me more than the other, you cannot be my disciple. No Buddha, no Muhammad, no Moses, not even John the Baptist said, if you love the world more than me, you cannot be my disciple. And Jesus is making this breathtaking statement. He is saying something about himself. For he is not one among the many spiritual leaders. He's not one among many prophets. He's not one among many great teachers. He is the Lord himself. He is God himself. He is the anointed. He is the Son of God. He is the Messiah, and he is the way. He is the life. He is the truth. And if he is who says he is, then he is compelling you and me to make a choice. He is challenging you and me to make a choice. He demands, again, if he is who says he is, if he is God himself, if he is the way, the truth, and the life, then he demands, he deserves your and mine undivided commitment. Undivided self-surrender, undivided attention. So when he said, if you do not hate, in other words, if you love more the world than me, he is simply re-emphasizing what's been told already in the Old Testament, the very first commandment of the 10 Commandments. What does it say? What is the first commandment of the 10 Commandments? That I am the Lord your God, and you shall not have any other God beside me. Ask yourself, church. Yes, he is challenging you today more than ever. Ask yourself, who is God in your life? He is simply reiterating the greatest commandment when he says, if you love more the world than me. He's simply saying what the greatest commandment says. What is the greatest commandment? Do you recall? That you shall love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being, with all your soul. So when he says, no, it says you should hate or love the world less, he is simply saying, love him more than anything else. Love him more than anybody else, because he is God himself. He is God himself. And so, if you and me want to be his disciple, and if you and me call ourselves followers of Christ, call ourselves Christians, and love him less, and love the world more, and the answer is very obvious: we are not his disciples. We cannot be, church, his disciples. And so the next point is to ask the question myself. To ask a question myself. Where is Jesus in my life? What place Jesus has in my life? What is the most important thing? What is the most, or who is the most important person in my life? What occupies most of my time and energy? What do I value the most in my life? If this is anything other than Jesus, then that becomes your God. That becomes your idol. And you simply cannot be his disciple. So he's putting it plainly: either you are with him or you are against him. Either you gather with him or you scatter. So the choice is up to me. If I want to be his disciples, he has to be the center of gravity of my life. He has to be first, and he demands my undivided love. Put him first before all else. Let me give you a concrete example to check yourself and see where Jesus is in your life. And it might be a bit challenging for all of us. When Sunday comes, the Lord's day, the Sabbath for us, what is the first thing in your to-do list? What is the most important thing to-do list on Sunday? Well, today we are starting what? The football season, right? Good. Is football at the top of your list? No, don't answer me now. And I do know, and it's on Sunday, church, you have to know yourself. Be alert. Be alert. There's so many outside taking you away from God. You do not even realize. It's on Sunday. We have so many leagues. It's on Sunday. We have tournaments. It's on Sunday. Your children are involved in so many other things than church. And you think that's more important. Because you say, it's about my children's career. It's about their life. Jesus is just putting it plainly, church. He just put it plainly. So football, or a league, or a party, or a gathering, or friend, or Jesus. And there you will know, church. There you have to make a choice. Simply, the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. It's up to me. It's up to me. If Jesus is God, if he is who says he is, then he demands, he deserves my life. And so, church, make Jesus the center of your life, church. Make Jesus first before all else. I guarantee you, church, I guarantee you, when Jesus becomes the most important person in your life, I guarantee you, your life will completely be different. Anyone who encountered Jesus, their life was changed. Yes, you may not be filthy rich. You may not become a CEO of a great company. You may not be successful in the eyes of the world. You may not be great in the eyes of the world. But I tell you, you'll be great, church, in the eyes of God. Yes, you may have a lot of struggles, challenges, obstacles, even when you put Jesus first. But I tell you this, he will give you the grace, church. He will give you the grace to face all the challenges, all the hurdles that come your way. And he will say, my son, my daughter, my grace is sufficient for you. Yes, his grace is sufficient. Put him at the center of gravity of your life and love Jesus first. And above all things, and everything else, and everybody else, for the sake of Jesus. I'm going to say it again. Love Jesus. Love God first, above all things, above everyone, and everything else, everybody else, for the sake of Christ. You will see a change in your life. The church say, amen.